What is up, guys? Rick Cacus on the field, and today we are going to be discussing the brand new Tier 3 Reckoning activity, showcasing all of the new mechanics involved with this activity, and also providing a ton of tips for how to beat this as easily as possible and get those sweet rewards. And so, let's get started. Now, my team and I were able to beat this several times already, actually got the triumph for doing it flawless as well. It's really not that big of a departure from Tier 2, frankly, but here's what's changed this time around. Firstly, in terms of the opening area, you are still trying to get dominance by just slaying out on ads. And the stuff that was good here before, like a Warlock with Nova Bomb and the Skull of Dire Ahamkara exotic helmet, is still absolutely fantastic. But so is a Tether Hunter with Orpheus, a Sentinel Titan with Doomfangs, all of that stuff. Keep in mind, however, that modifiers are still active in Tier 3, so you may want to change up your loadout depending on the modifier. Obviously, the burn is going to matter if you're on the fence between Hammer Titan or a Sentinel Titan. Well, depending on the burn, that should make your choice for you. Other things like Brawler, if you have Brawler, utilize supers that also inflict melee damage like the Sentinel Titan. Grenadier, try to put on exotics that give you multiple grenades. And when it's heavyweight like it is today, try to prioritize your power weapon. That's probably where your exotic slot should go to be as good as possible. Something to be aware of, however, is that your percentage will bleed over time. So if you have 70% dominance and you don't kill anything for a while, it'll go down to 69 to 68, etc. So make sure you are constantly slaying out, and if you are having trouble, maybe in Tier 2 and Tier 1, you're likely going to have more trouble for sure in Tier 3. So focus on slaying out on ads. Now, here's something that's really important. This is a big tip that I don't think enough people are utilizing. After this first section where you're getting dominance, again, this is the same that you've done before, you're going to move into a slightly different bridge section, just like in Tier 2. You can change subclasses. Again, people do not utilize this enough, but you can go from an offensive super to get dominance. If you're a Warlock, you can throw on a Nova Bomb with the Skull, and then as soon as you get 100% dominance, you have unlimited time before starting the bridge section. So it's a really good idea to stop, change subclasses to a Well of Radiance Warlock, for example, go and collect a bunch of motes that are probably lying around from all of your allies slaying out on ads, and then begin the bridge section as a different support super this time. Now, talking about that bridge section, it is very similar to Tier 2, but a lot more intense. Number one, you don't have as much time as you did with Tier 2. Tier 2 is going to give you around 40 seconds for completing one of the 6 areas that you have to capture. Tier 3 is only going to give you around 30 seconds. So that means if only 2 people are on the zone and 2 people are kind of off getting orbs, you may lose. In fact, we did lose a few times that, we didn't even realize. We felt we were doing well and we just weren't all on the zone. So it is very, very important. Huge tip, stay on that zone. Honestly, unless like one person is going off to quickly jump and get some orbs, it's not worth it. Stay on that zone. And because you are so attached to that zone, another big tip, the Well of Radiance Warlock is fantastic. One Warlock running well with the Phoenix Protocol exotic chess piece, which is exactly what I'm doing in the background gameplay, is a huge boon to your team. It's going to do a bunch of things. Mainly, it's going to let you just slay out easier with the increased damage, but also, and very importantly, it's going to protect you from those snipers. You can get sniped and sniped and sniped, and as long as you're within this well, you're basically going to be fine. And it lets all 4 teammates tank inside this zone so much easier, and you're basically going to need to do that if you want to succeed a Tier 3 bridge. Now, another difference with Tier 3 bridge is the enemies that spawn. In fact, the big enemies that spawn. In Tier 2, they're just normal yellow bars. In Tier 3, they are not. They're mini bosses. So they're going to have a lot more health this time around. A normal Nova Bomb is not going to kill these guys outright, and that is huge. Tier 2, the whole strategy was just, hey, you see one of those guys spawn, Nova Bomb them with the Skull of Dire Ahamkara, you'll basically get almost all of your super back. Tier 3, that's not possible. but you can make it possible by using a tractor cannon. That's right, another big tip. If you are a Nova Bomb Warlock and you are planning on doing that kind of tier 2 strat, you're going to have to throw in a tractor cannon exotic power weapon to run up, hit those guys, boop them. That's going to make them more susceptible to void damage, and then your Nova Bomb will be able to take those mini bosses down. Otherwise, you're going to need the assistance of your teammates, or you're going to need multiple Nova Bombs in order to take those guys down. Beating this bridge part is all about utilizing supers. In fact, you kind of want to save on your special and heavy weapon for the final engagement, but we'll talk about that in a sec. And in terms of supers, you really want at least one support super, and then 2 to 3 offensive supers. Now, the best ones for this category, support super, something like Tether is still pretty darn good, but Well of Radiance with Phoenix Protocol is just key for staying within those zones. Also, for offensive supers, you really just want to be able to chain supers and get them back super quickly. So, something like a Sentinel Titan with Doom Fangs. We've talked about Nova Bomb a million times, but they're still top of the list for sure. Something even like a Hunter with Blade Barrage and Shards of Galanor, he'll be getting a lot of his super back as well. You just want a powerful super that can kill guys fast, and to pair it with an exotic that will give you super energy back. You need to be chaining supers to beat this bridge section. Alright, now moving on from there, once you've captured all 6 zones, then a jump is actually going to open, and it's going to take you to the brand new tier 3 section. So if you've done tier 2, the part when you went and fought those knights, that's not happening anymore. You are going to a new area. This time you're going to have to fight another version of Oryx. This guy just won't die, but in any event, here are the mechanics for this encounter. To kill Oryx, just shoot him and super him, and that's it. There's actually nothing special you need to do to trigger a damage phase or anything like that, but there are a few things you should know. So after a while of damaging Oryx, then something is going to happen. A mechanic is going to happen. Basically, Oryx is going to trigger a wipe mechanic. So he's actually going to, or she's actually going to move around to one of the black bubbling cauldrons. Like, they're located on several areas around this arena, and then he's going to start to kind of raise his arms up and start glowing. This is the wipe mechanic. If you don't put enough damage into Oryx, then your team will be wiped. But kind of. Actually, there is a few possible ways you can survive this wipe mechanic if you have an overshield. If you're in a super, sometimes people have been left around, so just keep that in mind. But in any event, once you see her start to glow, raise her arms, then you need to dump damage into her, and then it will stun her, and she'll go back to just being normal and floating around the map and shooting you. Now, something important is that actually you're going to deal more damage to her when she's not doing a wipe mechanic. So it's kind of a balancing act. You need to save some of your resources in terms of heavy special supers to kill her or to stun her when she's doing the wipe mechanic, but you also want to get most of your damage in when she's just normally moving around the map, because your stuff is going to do more damage then. So keep a couple things in reserve, perhaps keep a Nova to stun her. Because it's Solar Singe and Heavyweight today, the Sleeper Simulant was fantastic. Just 3 headshots broke her wipe mechanic by itself. But stuff like the Legend of Acreus Shotgun has been massively buffed recently. It does work. The Wardcliff Coil, we all know how fantastic that is, especially if Arc Burn is on. Those type of things are going to inflict a ton of damage in a very short period of time and hopefully be enough to break her wipe mechanic and just overall DPS her very swiftly when she's just floating around. And somewhat disappointingly, that's it. Just shoot her to stop the wipe mechanic, and then shoot her again when she's not wiping you to kill her. Again, that's it. Now, you will have to keep on top of ads. There is a lot of ads. Something like a Tether is actually pretty decent here. The Well of Radiance is actually still pretty decent. You can just stay here and gain health and shoot ads with your primary and kill them a lot easier. If you're not on top of those ads, they will kind of overwhelm you. That's something. So maybe if you have 2 Nova Bomb Warlocks, one guy is on ad control, the other guy just Novas Oryx every chance he gets. Now, Oryx is pretty darn tanky. She has a lot of health, so supers and especially weapons, special weapons and power weapons that can inflict a lot of single target damage are fantastic here. So rocket launchers, shotguns, fusion rifles, stuff like that, stuff that just can focus fire on Oryx and just dump a lot of damage into her is what you want to use. And so guys, that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.